Brothers and sisters and friends, this afternoon we want to talk about the ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet explains itself. We have a fight that's common to all of us. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging.
Hey. Good morning.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, first guy in the morning.
Time
to wake up. How's it going, y'all?
Wake up.
First edition is happening right now. It is Wednesday, April the 2nd.
Hump day.
25, man. We're moving right along through the year.
Yeah, man.
And of course, the big thing today is that it's the day after the primary election. Did y'all get out? What you think?
Yeah.
How was the process? There's no way we're gonna be able to get around it. We're going to have to talk about election results today. So that's top of the list.
Man.
And we got some news. Good morning, Leia Keister. Is this a What's Up Wednesday? How you doing? Okay. Good morning. Appreciate you.
What's up?
RG coming in looking around. Yeah, I feel that though. Like, man, we got
side eye.
Got some things to look at. Pops in the morning in the chat saying good Wednesday morning, first sky and mad love from Las Vegas. Appreciate you, Pops. Okay.
It's the day that God made for Pops.
Pops' favorite day. RG says, based on last night's election results, Omaha is nowhere near as progressive as they like to advertise they are. Quality take, RG. Quality take. Sean McCarthy gives us a morning. How's it going? Mama God gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Stacey Jean says, good morning, First Guy family and friends. Marlon Harrison says, good morning, First Guy family and friends. Happy hump day. And Mama God says, I voted. Had to go to 3 polling places.
Hey, we told you to check. Yeah, she told me they moved it on her. They hit her with the okie doke.
Hit her with the okie doke.
Yeah. So, make sure, hey, you got to do it again. General's coming up. It ain't over. Make sure you stay on top of your polling place.
Applaud your persistence getting to that polling place, though, for sure.
Yeah, 3 spots, man. By spot number 2, I'd have been like, hey. Might have to sit this one out.
Go on, give it to Gene, then. No. Seacastle Hagen gives us a happy hump day. Thanks for joining us. Malik Rogers in the chat says, RG, based on the declined voter turnout for primary, North Omaha is not interested in participating in the voting process. Primaries always get less votes. For some reason, it's the easiest one to do. One but 2 people on the ballot, whoever's in your district and the mayor. But for some reason, of course, there's always like a bigger turnout during like a presidential election than the primaries. But North Omaha that's been an ongoing issue is the turnout. So that's what's up.
Yeah.
Yep. Sean McCarthy in the chat says apparently 250,000 will only buy 14,000 votes from Mike McDonnell.
Yeah. I don't know if it was. I definitely think that DEI hire comment against Tamara Dwyer like really put the brakes on his whole campaign.
I don't know, bro.
And also talking about trying to get rid of the streetcar. Like I've been seeing how much does it cost to get rid of the streetcar? Like, hey, seems like that ship is already sailed.
Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. It'd be interesting to see why the election came out the way it did when it comes to the mayoral race, because the thing you just said, that's what would stop it with us, but that's not necessarily what would stop his votes from other people in this state.
We'll get into it. I had this whole conversation with Mama God.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it. Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. We'll jump into it. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Again, it's Wednesday, the 2nd of April, day after the primaries. We're going to definitely talk about what's happening in the city elections that just happened. We got some unofficial results this morning, and the latest numbers, and we'll talk about that for sure. And then a few other things in the updates as well. So just appreciate everybody joining us this morning, and we will definitely get to it. The first thing I want to kind of get to is another person, missing young lady. Yes, Acacia Lopez. This was posted by the Winnebago tribe, actually. So she's 14 years old. If you have any information here, please contact Omaha PD 402-444-4600. starting to see a lot more of these again
Yeah, man.
from our brothers from the Umaha tribe and also the Winnebago tribe. They seem to be something else, man. They say there's a crisis going on here with missing teen women, and we're seeing it big time. So if you see her, please. Last seen here was March 26th, so she's been gone for a few weeks now. Definitely, or I guess a week. Yeah, just about a week. So yeah, if you have any information, please. This is a fresh one here, so definitely be on the lookout and hopefully get back. She's wearing a black hoodie, white shirt, gray sweatpants, and Jordans, and was last seen on 3/26/25. So we'll keep on posting these out. Also, there was Celia Lemire that was also missing, age
Mhm.
18. This was back in March 13th. Have not got any updates here. So this is we do know, we think that she's still missing as well. If you have any information on her, Omaha PD again 402-444-4877. And this one was from the Umaha tribe that posted
Yeah.
this. So yeah, please keep looking. And we appreciate everybody who's in there, who's on the lookout and trying to help these situations out. We got to keep on doing it. Wanted to give a shout out to somebody who is doing great work in the community as well. Raquel Henderson just got an
Hey.
award for mentoring for justice award, 2025 excellence in mentoring awards from Mentor Nebraska, which is an organization I forgot existed. I don't know. I used to know who they were before, and then I forgot. I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot they were doing that work. So shout out to them for giving her some flowers. Raquel Henderson gets down in a
Yeah.
big way.
Hey, yeah, big shout out to Raquel. Man, if you need a job, check her out on Facebook. She got you. She got you.
She got you.
But man, don't feel bad about forgetting about the nonprofits. There's so many. It's hard to keep up. It's hard.
There is a lot.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
is a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, man. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and jump in. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of these election results.
Yeah,
Oh,
and a
yeah.
few other things we got to talk about today, man. Not just the election results, but speaking of nonprofits, if you taking a haircut, we'll definitely be talking about the likes of what's going on with Inclusive Nebraska. Our heart going out to Cammie Watkins, who is a friend of First Sky. And kind of reminding people of the project that we're working on, also benevolent illusion. So look out for that in the coming months. But yeah, just want to dive back into our conversation and really kind of wrap around economic development. Let's just call it what it is. As you see the title of the show today, election results / the power of the boycott, and kind of looking back at again. We'll be looking at the Target situation. Paul, you also brought up some updates on the Johnson & Johnson lawsuit saga. So if you remember that, the talcum powder, baby powder situation leading to breast cancer.
Cervical cancer, all kinds of cancer.
Yeah, man. Right. So we'll talk about that.
We got Chad Chimers that are regular here whose family members died of cancer from this product. We got to talk about it.
It's hitting close to home all the way around, man. And to bring it home, I want to talk about economic development and really present the question. I see a few people chiming up about the election results and how they feel there's not as much advancement as maybe they have thought. But I actually feel like there are some opportunities. I have some looking at the background of some candidates that are still in the race. Economic development is on the top of the mind, man. So we'll be talking about that today and a few other things, as I mentioned again, updates with the Johnson & Johnson situation. A lot of things moving in the world of business, still kind of responding to the Trump saga. And I feel like there's some opportunity actually presenting itself. So we'll be talking about that and more throughout the show. As always, if there's anything on your hearts and minds that we're not talking about, feel free to drop that into the chat. We're about 10 minutes into this thing, but before we get too far, Paul B, man, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Feeling good today. I'm glad. I'm happy with a lot of folks that turned out for the primaries yesterday. I think a little bit more than normal. Of course, we always need more, and it's always a thing in the Black community for people to get out to vote, especially in the primaries, which seems to lack the numbers. But interesting. Got up this morning wanting to find out some of these results and dive in. So pretty excited about that. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to Heather Williams in the chat saying good morning, everyone. Also, Lavanya Goodwin's in the chat this morning. Good morning to you as well.
Yeah, feeling the sunshine, ain't you?
Brother Pena is in here says, we're not excited about democracy, and it's got to do with because we're building with trickle down politics from the party up down, not down up. I
Okay.
hear that. Marlon
Okay.
Harrison is breaking out a little bit past Omaha, saying Wisconsin elections happened yesterday too. The voters in the Democratic of Wisconsin Supreme Court after Musk and Trump spent millions on a MAGA candidate. That was in the news as well.
Mm-hmm.
They spent millions on the candidate only to lose to a Democratic candidate, which was big news. So appreciate that. Buenos dias to you, Brother Pena.
Hey,
Appreciate you
in the
coming in.
D's.
Mark Manner says, "Good morning. I am 2-2 voting with Paul." Yeah, we
Oh,
have
okay.
the same voting. We have the same spot, so we always show up, and we're always like one of the first ones in line together. So 2 for 2. That's what's up. Yeah, appreciate that. Let's go ahead and dive in, man. I know that people are anxious to talk about what's going on with these results. What do you think, buddy? Want to dive in on this?
Yeah, and I guess kind of lay the groundwork because this is still a civic engagement and lesson for both of us, and we were kind of unclear on how does the primary exactly work, and had to do some had to do some digging myself. Hey, I'm not too ashamed to say when I don't know something. That's the whole process of this for us to figure it out together. So I went to the source, and according to Douglas County-NE.gov, again, the website for Douglas County Election Commission, the two candidates receiving the most votes during the primary election will advance. So again, there was a question whether or not the incumbent automatically advances. And just to be clear, again, y'all, it's the top two. Just let that set in. Because District 2 is going to be very interesting. It's actually very, very close who's coming in second. I see Sister Lavanya Goodwin in the chat. Good morning. She says, hey, y'all, definitely making, let's go ahead and start with District 2. Definitely making that top two mark. But it's not just her. As y'all see, very, very close who's coming in at the top two. Again, of course, Ben Gray will obviously make it through the first round, but we're looking at about a 60 vote difference between Lavanya, Juanita Johnson, and Maurice Jones. It's pretty close.
Interesting results.
It is very, very interesting. We will say that, throughout our project, Juanita Johnson is the only candidate. We were able to get Brother Tyrone Uri in, but Juanita Johnson was the only candidate who did not sit down with us during that situation to, again, have an interview and to speak her piece. Just want to throw that in there. But again, very, very close, as you see, about 60 vote race. Unofficially, right now, Douglas County has not released its official counts. I do believe there are still Lavanya Goodwin, candidate Lavanya Goodwin in the chat actually helping us. She says there is a final mail-in ballot for Friday, April 4th. So again, there's still votes coming in, still counts being counted. And yeah, we will see. And I think 60 votes is a close enough margin to, for that second spot to swing either way. So again, we're looking at a possible matchup between Ben Gray and Juanita Johnson, Lavanya Goodwin, or Brother Maurice Jones. So
big part of this story for me though is the fact that Ben Gray is leading here in the numbers. That was a little bit unexpected by a whole lot of folks, especially in District 2. A whole lot of folks were on some other stuff, especially some of our constituents, people that we that listen to us, that we consider First Guy fam. There was a lot of people that were working for other campaigns, people that endorse. We know that Senator Ashley Spivey and Senator Terrell McKinney endorsed Mike Lee. There was a lot of work to get some younger folks in. A lot of people were backing, even people from the BAA was backing Maurice Jones. So it's really interesting these results in the first place. I don't know if anybody ever. I don't know if many people that we've talked to expected that Ben Gray would be leading in the numbers. That's the first surprise to me. And then the second surprise is, of course, is like what you're talking about with the closeness of the three candidates here underneath. So yeah, it's really, really interesting what's going on here. Again, these numbers are from WOWT, and they are the latest numbers. And we just want to restate that. Lavanya Goodwin in the chat is telling us that they still have some mail-in ballots to look at. So yeah, just interesting numbers, but even with the mail-in ballots, Ben Gray is way far out ahead, and I think that a lot of people are surprised about that.
Yeah.
I kind of was thinking, you know, we talked about this before the election, and I felt that was going to be the case because I felt like he had more recognition. That, you know, there's a lot of older folks are the ones that are doing most of the voting. He's got a lot of support from being in there before. And I was just like, it felt a little bit inevitable, even though we were all kind of, you know, thinking it could go a whole bunch of different ways with 9 candidates. It was hard to even pinpoint what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
me personally, when I went in there and looked at mine, I was like, oh, District 1. Okay. Whew, man, because having to make that choice would have been real tough. It wasn't, I'm not in the district apparently. And I was a little bit like relieved, like, man, I don't know what what would you do? What did you do? Is what I was anxious to get to this show so I can reach out to the chat and be like, what did you guys do? How did you feel about it? How did you vote? And what happened in your experience? And how did you rationalize who needs to be the person? Interesting stuff. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is close, very, very much. Tony Johnson in the chat says, so pending little change to the rest of the council, which of these two is capable of fighting for North Omaha successfully without being outvoted on issues? Yeah, these are questions that are going to definitely be coming up for the primaries coming up for sure. Amy H. Doc gives us a good morning, fam. Good morning to you. Anthony Hart says good morning. Right on. Vanya Goodwin is in the chat saying thank you guys for the opportunity to speak candidly to voters. Yeah,
Yeah, no
appreciate that.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a thing. It was a really interesting process to sit down with the candidates. You can still go to First Guy Omaha, the YouTube page,
Yeah.
and sit down with the candidates and talk because it's really interesting to hear from them personally about what it is that they stand for and what was going on. So this is not over. The generals are coming, and
Yeah.
we still need to review whoever makes it. It'd be more of a deep dive into where they stand on some things. There's some questions even this time around. So we'll see.
Man.
See, brother Kasim in the chat.
Yeah.
Good morning to you. Says when I walked in and seen a room full of older folk, I knew it was gonna be ugly. Shake my head. He said it's called Stuck in Their Way. Younger crowd is focused on the crush.
Yeah, I think I do think that there was a just looking at the actually can you pull those numbers up really quickly? I have a few thoughts on to share on the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I see Brother Ben Gray also in there. It says First Guy Omaha and really connected to community. Big thanks. No problem. No problem.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hopefully, you know, we helped some as far as bringing the people out. That was the goal. And I will say that most people, of course, showed out for Ben Gray. And I'm kind of looking at the other numbers like Mike Lee, William King, Cheryl Weston. I do feel like there's not like, didn't they have to get 200 votes or 200 signatures to even
100 signatures?
100. So yeah, not many more beyond just the 100 people that voted or signed for them.
And you know, Cheryl Weston, for instance, she decided 3 days before the deadline, so she got her 100 signatures in real fast, and then you know, and then there was a lot of endorsement from black community for her as well, and we saw some movement, you know, for is a little bit of time that she took to jump in. I really kind of am impressed with the numbers that she did get, because this was tough, man. You had to go around kind of, you know what I'm saying? You had to really kind of show yourself months in advance too, and that's another reason why I feel like Ben Gray has got so many numbers here because he has so much recognition for being here before anyway, you know. So I'm sorry if I was cutting you off from your
No,
point.
you're good. Just looking, the numbers aren't that high, and you know, and my point is, you know, when you take in consideration the fact that they already had to have 100, you know, people vying for them to even get in, not many more people. You know, it's probably a result of canvassing.
Yeah,
Shout out to those who did pound the pavement, but very, very interesting to see how this will shake out between, you know, who will basically challenge Ben Gray for the general. I do think with the two, if the two as they are now go through, both Lavanya Goodwin and Ben Gray, again, my mention earlier at the top of the show of economic development, I do think that those are two candidates who have shown in the area specifically of economic development have shown some movement. I would say, of course, Lavanya Goodwin and the work that she's done on 24th, and Ben Gray, regardless of, you know, whether or not you feel like it is enough, he has brought things like the Walmart, like again, Fairdale Village and other things to the community as far as development. So, which one of those two candidates we feel like will have more of the economic development? Because as we continue in this conversation, I'll make the case that, and I really don't need to think I work too hard to make the case, but the need for profit businesses in our community now more than ever, and politicians who will support that, is at an all-time high.
Most def. Michelle Moreno in the chat is saying we got it wrong. District 2.
Okay.
Biggest thing I see that we got wrong has to do with these actual numbers. How many people in District 2? 50,000, 60,000 people?
Man, that's what I'm. Yeah, it's my thought, man. Not
So-
very high numbers.
So number one, the voters didn't come out. I'm sure that there's way more people registered than this even. So that's number one. Why we get it wrong is because of that part. I feel like is these are the highest number of people that came out. 15, almost 1,600 people for one of the candidates. That's crazy. I mean, all these numbers here together don't. You know what I'm saying? Like for as many people that's in District 2, it seemed like they should have more. They wanted to say a few more things than they have with their vote, but it didn't happen that way. Also, Brother Kasim says that later crowd of folk who decided to run hurt us. Ben Gray in the chat is saying we need voter registration and turnout to be increased greatly. Younger voters are key. I definitely feel that. We were talking a little earlier before the show too. If you do make it, Brother Gray, I really appreciated what you said on the video about the way that you want to mentor young folks to be getting ready to run again.
Yeah.
And get them mobilized. So we're looking forward to that mentorship. With whether or not you win, we're looking forward to that mentorship for sure because we need it. Also, Ben Gray said 35,000 registered voters, and this is the turnout. That's what I mean, man. 35,000 registered voters, 50,000 people in the area.
Man. Vonnie Gilman is saying 77,000 people just in general. And so half of that is registered to vote, and even fewer than that actually showed up to vote. So yeah, there's definitely that.
Ray Vincent in the chat, she says, I voted, my polling location was empty. Yep. Nice gives us a good morning. Appreciate that. Vanya Goodwin says that we definitely need to get the vote out for sure. Brother Pena has a couple comments here. I'm trying to look through real quick. I can see you're saying we cannot disregard the advertising of moderate Democrats who we want to think about the idea or not. It's the truth. Democrats put a wrench half the time and get more moderate candidates in. Okay, I'm not really sure what your point is there. We'll go back over it. Also, Mama God in the chat says the non-voters will be the first to complain.
Okay.
That's real. That stood out in Gray's first Sky interview. Yeah, that part about the mentorship did stand out. I really appreciate that saying that. So appreciate everybody's comments on this for sure. We're going to take a quick break. We kind of ran over here. We want to get back to a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about a few more things. We're definitely spending the time to talk about District 2, but there's other districts that are going through a few things as well. District 4, we got to talk about it. And then, of course, the mayoral race that was a little bit of an upset as well. So shout out to Brother John Ewing for now. He's going to be battling Stothard in the general, and people are marking themselves safe from McDonnell, which I think is interesting. There's a lot of messages that went there. I was like, anybody but him. Anybody but him. Right.
Lucky Charms.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break and we'll come right back again. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
My
name is Paul B. He's Buddy with God. Stay tuned, y'all. We'll be right back.
Lead poisoning in children under 7 is scary, but it's also 100% preventable. Not only can lead be found in paint and soil, it can be found in many common spices, certain baby foods, and brought home from job sites. Children with lead poisoning might not show any symptoms until their levels are dangerously high. So ask your healthcare provider for a lead test for your child. You can help prevent lead poisoning in children. Brought to you by Douglas County.
Right on. Shout out to Douglas County Health Department. Welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning. All B, Buddy to God, and all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, and monitoring spirits. Those of you who were watching the show but would never admit that you tune in. We see.
We see.
Also,
the chat, man. Chat's going on.
Yeah, I love the fact that we have candidates in the chat speaking to each other. And Gray is saying, I'm seeking young leadership and already working with the Urban League and a few other leaderships programs. I appreciate that very much. Also, Vanya Goodman says, I'm looking forward to educating the community on economic development. Too much misinformation.
Word.
Very interesting. Right on. Pops, giving some love. Mark Manner says, I am glad to see I don't have to vote for Stothard because I would have over Mike Lucky Charms. Mike McLucky Charms. These names, you'd be cracking me up with that. Mike McLucky Charms. Yeah, it was a surprising situation to me that the mayoral race turned out like it did as well. It was such the Mike McDonnell, Gene Stothard show for so long that I was like, man, can anybody slide up in there? Well, Brother Ewing slid up in there, so that's what's up.
Yeah. Not surprised, actually. Not surprised. Again,
right?
Yeah, not surprised. Long time politician, man. I mean, you got a license plate. You know the name John Ewing. Yeah.
I owe brother some money right now on the registration.
You know what I'm saying? But no, big congratulations to Brother Ewing, the Ewing family, again, closely related, our Omaha cousins, as I call them,
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout out to Brother Ewing. And some thoughts on the Mike McDonnell situation. You kind of mentioned earlier that you're a little surprised that he didn't make it through. Again, only 14,000 votes.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, man. I believe that Omaha is a lot, just in general, is a lot more progressive than we think. Big shout out to Anthony Rogers Wright, who kind of tipped us off. That jumped out of his interview. Him saying that North Omaha, I believe, is 38% white right now.
Mm-hmm.
And 36% black.
34% black, right?
Yeah. So again, when you think of North Omaha being the blue dot, the majority of that is not black folk. And as we're seeing the response to these DEI comments, again, McDonald's DEI hire comment wasn't against a black person. That was offensive towards everybody. He said that towards a white woman. So again, there's a lot. And also you got to think, the average 40 and 50-year-old, regardless of race, probably grew up on hip hop in Omaha. You know what I'm saying? So again, there's a lot more progressive folk, regardless of race, regardless of also geography. I would like to give our brothers and sisters out in West Omaha a little more credit, although it still is the vibe of the tale of two cities. I do think that DEI comment from Mike McDonnell put a big hurt on his race.
That's
just my view. That's just my view.
It hurt. What audience are you speaking of that they were turned off? You feel like the majority of white Omaha was turned off by that comment?
I think a significant
mayoral race.
Yeah, I know what we're talking about. I know exactly what we're talking about.
Like the majority of people voting is gonna be the majority of folks in Omaha. So and they've had Stothard in here for several terms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Stothard played it right. She was like, "Yeah, I'm not with that DI comment. What do you mean?" Like she picked the right side of that argument. And I do think yes, I think white Omaha is a little more quote unquote progressive than you would think.
Okay.
It's not all just rednecks.
I mean, I don't think that. But the numbers are telling right here. 21,623 votes as opposed to his 13,859 votes. I'm just a little surprised. I really am. But if you may be right, that especially that comment, because that's when I think of him. I think of that comment. I think he looked at her name and thought she was black and said she was a DEI hire. Is what I think happened. What's her name? Tamara Dwyer. Tamara Dwyer. She has to be black. And yeah, so that definitely hurt him. But he's done there were so many other things he did too. I'm talking to friends that that
Yeah, yeah.
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 I don't want to push back too hard on it, but I do kind of feel a little bit like something else was up. I don't think it has to do with the progressiveness of Omaha. I really don't see that. I really don't see it as much.
Well, I think between that and the his plan of his response to the streetcar, again, I don't think everybody's very high on getting rid of the streetcar. I think at this point, it seems like everybody agrees that it's going to cost more to get rid of the streetcar than it is to move forward with that project. And McDonnell was very high on getting rid of the streetcar,
Man,
which
you
is
looking at the issues too tough. I'm looking at the fact that he was in there talking bad about women in the legislature. Like Mike McDonnell was doing a bunch of stuff that made people
that
mad
too.
personally mad.
I'm saying those two things, like the DEI comments, his stance on women. Somebody else in the chat also mentioned that he might have had a past legal issue in regards to
This drunk
assault
driving thing or something happened, didn't he?
yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think that does ring a bell as far as his name being connected to some legal issues, surrounding things.
Well, anyway, not to give too much time to Mike McDonnell, because really it's all about the two that is advancing through to the general election. Shout out to Brother John Ewing and all the work. I do know people, friends of First Sky Omaha, was bombarded with John Ewing material.
Man,
He had a whole bunch of people on the campaign, including his daughter Lex, that is a friend of First Sky Omaha. I mean, they were killing the game with it. So he really got it out. I went to a couple meetings that were hosted by some friends that he spoke at. He really was boosted, pounding the pavement on this campaign in a big way. And you're right, everybody knows him. Everybody knows him. So,
and on my whole tip about economic development and the importance of it, and just the fact that we need it and which candidates can support it. I mean, as a treasurer, he kind of excited about his his viewpoints on economic development and how he views the path forward, to develop. Not just North Omaha, but Omaha, as we're saying, Omaha as a whole is growing, and it is in a transforming point. The whole goal is just to make sure that North Omaha doesn't get left behind. But yeah, somebody is going to need to direct some of these projects forward over the next, how many 4 or so years, as far as what's going on with the airport, what's going on with downtown, what's going on with 72nd and Dodge transforming, and then hopefully North and South Omaha also get some of that love. So, between Jean Stothard, I think she's the one who's kind of led and, started a lot of these projects. And I think, if Brother Ewing were to take over, I'm very confident in his ability to kind of push that forward as well. And again, I'm just saying all of that to say North Omaha, we have an opportunity to also continue pushing the line of economic development, whether it's Jean, hold her feet to the fire. She's pushing this whole streetcar. I'm changing Omaha. I'm taking Omaha forward. Well, take us with you. Let's hold her feet to the fire on that. And same thing for Brother John Ewing.
Let's move on with that, especially talking about this economic development situation here. Stacey McLean Honeycutt is in the chat saying, good morning. She's the one. Every time I think about the essential gathering place, the essential spots that is taking place, she's always got something that's in Friends of First Sky Omaha. Shout out to you doing business. We talk about for-profit business. We talk about for-profit businesses that are needed out here. Shout out to the people that are doing that work. Brother Kasim in the chat is still holding it down, saying shame on the elders on this one. I'm sticking to it. They should have moved aside and thought about education of younger prior to this day. Sad. Like I said, I really think that it's going to change over as far as hopefully some the elders will get with some of the young folks and really bring them in. Really come on through with it. I appreciate it. Kimber in the chat says she was at Mike Lee's watch party. She says she wasn't surprised about Mike, but I think he had a good run. He had some good endorsements. He knew a lot what he was doing, but he's the kind of cat that's still gonna help. He might not win, but he might back other people and still be in there. He has a reputation of backing people's situations. Senator Terrell McKinney, Senator Ashley Spivey. He worked with Preston Love, so he's also used to working behind the scenes on people's campaigns and trying to make some change happen. That's a young brother right there that I hope some of the mentors really take under their wing and get him to the next step as well. And these young cats ain't done. That's the thing. They got time. They got time to run again, learn and run again.
Man,
so I appreciate that.
Maurice Jones 60 votes away from staying in it. So yeah,
Man,
we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, before moving on, because we do have a few other things we want to dive into, I did want to kind of echo that. Whoever, whether it's Lavanya, Sister Lavanya, Brother Ben, let's work together. A lot of great ideas came out of each candidate. So let's work together and make sure we win for North Omaha.
man, let me
It ain't just
blow
about
you
you.
up saying that.
Yeah,
Say that again. Say that again.
yeah. Let's work together and make sure we win for North Omaha. I'm impressed with all the candidates. Everybody had great ideas, and let's make sure that we win for North Omaha, not just for yourself.
There you go. Sal Osaka in the chat. I appreciate that. Good morning,
Brother Sal, man, I said what's up. Shout out to all the squires. Peace.
There you go. Sheldon Sharon is in the chat as well. Appreciate everybody jumping in this morning for
Hey,
sure.
man, community love, man.
She said Mike Lee got boots on the ground and does a great job behind the scenes. And I'm telling you, man, that brother's a powerhouse as well.
Yeah,
I'm watching it happen. Also, Kimmer is saying I mentor anyone who talks to me about it, and I had to have some serious talks with Mike last night. Okay,
okay.
there
Big
you go.
sister moment, big sis moment.
There you go. And if he's a smart brother, that means he's gonna listen to you for sure.
Man,
That's what's up. Appreciate everybody. I don't want to go through all the chats this morning because it's moving too
just
fast.
going off. Yeah, just going off.
We got to get to these other points because I think they're very important and they're going to be the next steps to to what's happening after this race. So let's go ahead, buddy. I'm gonna throw it over to you and get the ball rolling here on this conversation.
Yeah, man. Economic development. I'm gonna keep saying it, and looking at the candidates and looking at this race from that lens, obviously is definitely going to be the path forward. A lot of the issues that were talked about, of course, can't be solved without finances and building a base to support these organizations, to support efforts, to support events, activities. We need to have economic development. We're not going to get anywhere that we want to go without thriving businesses, for-profit businesses in North Omaha. And again, I'm juxtaposing that conversation with the whole nonprofit industrial complex. I'm gonna just call it what it is. And we see, although there are some organizations out there doing good work, it's not a model for development in our community. And as you see, it's beholden to the whims of wealthy families, whether they want to, fund something else next year, or as we're seeing now with this situation with inclusive Omaha, or inclusive communities, also beholden to the office. Who's in office? You see DEI as a heavy topic of conversation, and now coming out of KMTV3, again, Omaha nonprofit inclusive communities faces significant staff cuts amid funding challenges. And again, this is not just with this organization, but many nonprofits across the state. Shout out to our partners over at Flatwater, kind of examining the fear that reigned through the state as far as programs being cut. But this situation with inclusive communities is just the latest in this chapter. Again, inclusive communities started, according to this article, as a volunteer-based nonprofit over 80 years ago. Up until the new year, they had a staff of 12. But however, a friend of First Sky Omaha and executive director Cammie Watkins says they're not seeing as much funding as they did in years past, and have to make tough decisions to actually lay off 8 of the 12 staff members. She says they've been phenomenal throughout this whole piece, and like the messaging and how we've talked about this and like and shared it with everyone, and then them echoing it, and then like they're supporting me through this. It has been just unbelievable. But unfortunately, we're impacted by the federal cuts or the decisions to shift people away from supporting programming that supports diversity and inclusion. So that's where we kind of ended up with the clients to we would go from around this time having it around 15 to 20 workshops scheduled from like January to just having one. So again, a lot of organizations getting haircuts, a lot of people afraid of more haircuts, and again, if the proof is in the pudding for more for-profit organizations, and again more conversation to stem us away from the nonprofit industrial complex, I think now is the time.
Ran into a young sister at a John Ewing meeting, and she was working for inclusive communities, and kind of echoed this, said this early on. When you think about it, what's going on with the Trump administration right now, if you have a organization called Inclusive Communities, you might be subject
Yeah.
to not getting some of the, especially federal funding and some of the funding that you need to continue on. This is not the climate where they want inclusivity at all. So a little nervous about that, and other folks that were working there were pretty nervous. And then this article dropped, and my heart goes out to Cammie Watkins, man, a friend of ours. She ran for District 3 back in the day against Bagley. We had her on the show early on. She's a friend of First Sky Omaha, and just I can't imagine. I've been a business owner and had to lay off folks and fire folks, and to have to let 8 people go that are just in there trying to do the good work, not getting rich off this, just trying to do the good work, is got to be really, really tough. So we want to give our hearts go out to Cammie Watkins, give a shout out. Know the community supports you. We're sad. We're sad that this is happening. We'll get to that idea of like what can we do next. We know that nonprofit organizations work, but what happens when they slide it out from under you, like you saying? It's a benevolent illusion that these nonprofit organizations are supporting our communities. It's an illusion. We need more for-profit companies, businesses. We need to be more powerful with our dollar, make better decisions with our dollar. There's so much that needs to happen here, and it's really kind of sad. Really sad. I really, my heart goes out to her for real.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you can just kind of see the pain, in the interview that Channel 3 did, as far as just where things are going. One thing I can say for those who are in the nonprofit space is a lot of them, do care about the work that they're doing and feel like they are doing the good work. So these types of things aren't easy. But again, the fact of the matter is, I think of the civil rights movement. I think of the Black Panther Party. Those were professionals. You know what I'm saying? They weren't just folks off the streets. Like a lot of those who founded the Black Panther Party, they were college professors, and like these were professionals who were funding the revolution. And I think of the civil rights movement. It wasn't just free for Dr. King to travel around the country. Like there were athletes, actors, business people who were paying for these things out of their own pockets. That's what's going to fund the change. As we see with these elections, like these elections aren't free.
Right. Yeah. Nothing's free. This is how the system works in this country. Even the nonprofit industrial complex comes from for-profit companies that make their money. They make so much money that they've had to make laws for them to have to give some of that money back to the community. And that's the reason why you're getting any money in your nonprofit organization. Or they take taxes, and there's laws. There's people that got to put laws in place in order for them to return some of that tax money to you for well-being. And the government trying to make some well-being happen with its citizens, which was supposed to be. So it all starts with in this country, it's capitalist. It's a capitalist country. It's all going to start from the economic money made in companies to even trickle down to any kind of nonprofit dollars.
I mean, I'll think about it as economy, man. Like money is nothing but a physical representation of energy. That's all it is. That's all it is. What are you putting your energy into? I mean, it's very simple. It's a very simple concept.
Priorities.
What are you putting your energy?
They talk about priorities a lot too. We got the money. The money's out there. Where is it being put? Is it being put to a jail or some preventative?
Or going to Crush Lounge, which has been the conversation in the chat.
But a casino point, right?
Man, I mean, but 11 trillion collective GDP. We're not a poor people, regardless of how the propaganda might push. We're not a poor people.
Those stuff.
What is the meme? We're not outnumbered. We're out organized.
Here it is, Brother Malcolm. So with that said, I'm glad you said that. 11 billion GDP. Our folks, so black folks got some loot. Where are we spending it? Where are we spending that money? Because there's power in there. Every dollar is a vote. There's power in that. Where are we spending that money? Where are we putting that money? Where are we investing that money? We all have heard this several times about, especially in the black community, the money goes out of the black community so fast, it's crazy. We make it goes right out to everywhere around us. And one show of power, there's one little show of power that we've been up on right now. And I think there's some people in the chat and some friends of First Sky Omaha, some ghost listeners that has been engaged in this too, the Target boycott comes up in my brain
Yeah,
about
man.
the power of the power of the dollar. So, short story about this is that they went along with Trump and decided they're going to get rid of some of this DEI stuff, and it's been problems ever since. People, churches, everybody from churches to individuals have been calling out for a boycott. They've been boycotting.
Man.
It was first supposed to be a day, turned into a month. Now they're talking about a permanent ban. There's been a lot in the news, and I'm sure that you've already seen a lot of that that's been happening. It's been a national Target boycott, and they're feeling the pain.
Oh
They,
yeah.
they're feeling the pain now. So it got me hyped. Got me hyped and thinking about exactly what that is. Matter of fact, don't we got some
Yeah,
information
yeah.
on some of that? Yep.
Jumping into a couple numbers.
Yeah.
I believe this is coming out of Focus magazine.
Fortune
magazine. Thank you. But yeah, again, definitely Target feeling the feeling the impacts, which is quite interesting. I know early on we had some, questions, and I think some people still are critical about a boycott. But for what it's worth, there is power in the dollar, and again, a boycott can definitely demonstrate that, unlike any other. And as of right now, Target's feeling it, especially ahead of Easter. Again, expecting a boost in traffic in the Easter season, but to the contrary, quite different what they're experiencing. Actually, an 8th week low. Again, the 8th consecutive week of low in-store traffic. According to this, the Target saw foot traffic a fall for the 8th consecutive week, extending a losing streak that began just a few days after, of course, the company announced it would end its diversity, equity, and inclusion program late January. For the week that began March 17th, foot traffic actually fell about 5% for Target. That's according to data from Placer.ai. In a March 4th earnings call, when it reported a 3.1% loss and non-specified sales decline in February. And actually, again, sales have been so much on the decline that there's talk of board members looking to sue executives for this decision because, again, it impacted their bottom line, saying, hey, you didn't tell us that we will lose money with this DI. Like, you didn't tell us, being racist was expensive.
Not profitable, right?
Yeah. You didn't tell us that. We're going to sue. So again, very, very interesting situation. And to juxtapose it again at Costco, which this article points out, which unlike Target resisted the demands from the Trump administration to lean on DEI, foot traffic has continued to grow for the same week beginning March 17th. Their traffic actually went up about 5%, which actually marked a 13th straight week of gain. So again, very, very interesting how certain businesses are faring in this era of Trump. And I'll be honest, man, people are looking at us like, hey, first guy, we need you in this era of Trump. Like, business might be looking good for us as well. I'll be honest, in this whole era of Trump. So I say that to say, nonprofit definitely taking a hit. These social programs definitely going to be taking a hit, and we do need social programs. But there's some opportunity in this era of Trump and Elon Musk that I hope we're looking for. Not just with this, as I mentioned, with the Target situation, and you see Costco and other businesses again reaping from the benefits of that traffic. But also, I was just talking to my mom about the T-Mobile situation. If you haven't heard, T-Mobile just inked a deal with Starlink, Elon Musk's Starlink, and a lot of people are jumping ship. And it just kind of, the thought crossed my mind, like, man, if I was like a minority-owned, woman-owned, black-owned phone company, T-Mobile, one of the largest phone providers, losing clients, this might be a good time to, hey, come to death row.
Yeah. Come on through. We looked up and found a couple companies. But it's interesting to think that too, because it's not just about where we're going to stop spending, but where do we start spending?
Yeah, man.
Is the next question. Stacey McLean Honeycutt in the chat, good morning, says we need more essential businesses in our community: gas station, holistic center, clinics, healthy food, grocery stores. Yes, we definitely need more business. First and foremost, like, we need more business. So before those businesses get started, we have to spend money somewhere. We have to kind of think about where that should be. There's a lot of corruption behind a whole lot of industries and companies for sure, but the ones that are kind of being blatant about it, and hey, I'm all for it. People were down talking the boycott for Target for a while, and I'm like, a day is not gonna amount to much, but that day turned into some days, and it's turned into some months now.
Yeah, man.
And they're feeling the pain a little bit, and it got me hyped again about boycotting. I remember that I was boycotting a certain company back in the day, and kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then it showed up in the news this morning, and that got me going. Okay, yeah. Once I started learning about what the effects of baby powder and what Johnson & Johnson did to circumvent having to pay people who have died of cancer from their products, the Texas two-step, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yep, no more Johnson & Johnson products for me, personally. And there was a call for a boycott back in the day, and that kind of died down as well. But this kind of reunited me to see these numbers, that you see how Target is suffering in the way that they are, and then seeing what's going on here with the Johnson & Johnson story. New news coming in here where they still might be liable for some things. And and that it reinvigorated me. We got people in the chat. We got friends of First Sky Omaha whose parents died. Mom died of cervical cancer because of Johnson & Johnson products, and we've been talking about this, and it's like, okay, let's remember where we're at. We're right here. We got a lot of money in the community, and not just in the Black community. Everybody who's solid with the Black community on these issues, or just you don't got to be from the Black community to understand what Johnson & Johnson just did. You could hurt their sales. You could hurt it. You can think about where you spending your money and decide that you're going to boycott. A whole bunch of stuff needs to be boycotted besides Target. I can tell you that.
Man, and in the case of Johnson & Johnson, there was actual damage. You know what I mean? Like DEI, you just kind of offended. It's like, oh, yeah, I see where y'all stand. But Johnson & Johnson, there people were dying. Like there was real damage with that, which supports litigation, not just boycotting. And in the forms of boycotting and litigation, Johnson & Johnson really feeling the pinch. According to Reuters, they're still trying to Texas two-step their way out of this $10 billion lawsuit, but not going. According to the article, a U.S. bankruptcy judge just on Monday rejected Johnson & Johnson's $10 billion proposal in an attempt to end tens of thousands of lawsuits. Again, not tens of thousands of dollars in lawsuits, tens of thousands of separate lawsuits alleging that its baby powder and other talc products caused ovarian cancer, marking the third time the company's bankruptcy strategy has failed. Again, the third time that this move has failed. J&J has been attempting to resolve the lawsuits through a company bankruptcy after two previous bankruptcy attempts failed again in other courts. So they're definitely feeling the impacts of their shady business dealings.
Man, it's a thing that got proven, and they were going to get sued, and they did a Texas two-step. Look up Texas two-step when you get a chance. Basically to get out of litigation, they kind of started another company, put that litigation on that, try to bankrupt that company so they can keep all their assets there and make it so that you can never sue them again too. And this is something that they really kind of it's been happening, but they are the ones that really brought it to everybody's attention that big companies were doing this to get out of being liable for killing folks. Interesting story, but it all boils down to what can you do about it, which is the moral of every story that we talk about. Every hour comes down to the last 7 minutes of the show, and it's okay, but what are we going to do about this is the question about all of it. And we really need to kind of stand by this idea that we need to be intentional about how we spend. Shelton Shar in the chat is saying, I say this and live by this. We have to be intentional about where we spend our dollars, even if it's inconvenience. Collectively, we have $1 trillion buying power. Money is and has always been power. In this country, that's what it is. Stacey Jean says purchasing power is real. Real. Stacey McLean Honeycutt says, yes, I agree. Opportunity in Trump's era, unity of our people and dollars.
Big time. I mean, you don't think Trump was dropping them gold J's not for us? You know what I'm saying? You don't think he was hugging sisters in Chick-fil-A not for us? Like,
if I ever see a brother walking down in Donald Trump gold,
man, come on, the gold Trump ones. What's his dance?
He's gonna get a stern look from me.
Is that the dance? Is that the Trump dance?
Bob says, we are raised on J&J. I was still using it daily up to 10 years ago.
Man,
that's what I'm saying. They're trying to suppress the news about it as well. Judy Prentice says it has been a bit of a challenge to not go to? Where you not going to? To Target?
Tarjay?
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Carolyn Jack in the chat, good morning, says the Gold Jays were not for us. They not like us. It's just all there is to it. 7:55. If you believe in the concept of time, we're gonna get out of here really, really quickly here in the last 5 minutes. But
Yeah, man.
I love the way that you're wrapping this up, man. I want to bring it back around to the election results because this is the reason why we're bringing it up is because we need people in District 2. We need the mayor to help with economic development, to help us get small business going. All the things that we need help with it from city government that can help us. We know that we're going to be trying to help ourselves. We're going to not try to help ourselves. We will help ourselves. That is what our community comes down to. We know that the people in those political seats are part of the solution. They're not the complete solution. There's a lot that we got to do in order to self-sustain, but they are part of the solution. They can help in the situation, or they can hurt in them situations. So the right people in the seats is also what we need for this equation. And I think go back and check out all the interviews that you can see on First Sky Omaha, the YouTube channel, to see where they stand on economic development. Big time. It'll be really telling to see. So the people who make it, and even the people who don't make it, or people might run again or back other folks, or at least vote. There are at least people out here voting. It's going to tell you whether or not we're going to be having any real progression in the city, especially in North Omaha. What say you on that, buddy?
Man, big time. Economic development is it, man. And I'm just thinking of what a time to be alive. That's like I'm really excited and motivated. I mean, just between technology advancement, AI. I don't know how many of y'all are into AI, but it's a lot of opportunity out there. Again, this is not quite follow the money season, but hey, let's get to it. Again, it's still the DED money is still coming to the community, for those who haven't received it yet. And those businesses who do receive the money will need to spend it on services to do the jobs that they're contracted with the state to do. So again, there's opportunity out there for professional services, anybody providing tax services, anybody providing cleaning services for these new buildings that are being come on, let's get this money, y'all. That's where I'm at. Let's get this money. And then once we get the money, let's support some candidates who will support us.
Big time. Latest results, City District 2, which was the big question, Ben Gray, to me was a surprise. But at the same time, not surprised. I mean, he's got the connections, the experience. He's been there. He's got the recognition. Just did not expect that he would get as much support as he did. But that's not the complete part of that story. It's also the fact that we have these close other three: Lavanya Goodwin, Juanita Johnson, Maurice Jones. Interesting. I very interesting in the fact that Juanita Johnson is amongst the three. She's the incumbent. She's the one that's in the seat now. And we haven't really we hadn't had a chance to hear from her yet. There's been some scheduling difficulties between her campaign and ours. I think that when it comes to the incumbents, they weren't rushing to call back for the interviews because they kind of probably felt like they were going to be automatically in the running. So again, looking at this, I'm thinking, man, that's not necessarily the case for Miss Johnson, for Councilwoman Johnson, that she might not be in the general election.
Yep.
Because it is top 2 that's supposed to be in the general election. We had to look that up. Didn't know it either. So this is a very interesting situation here, and so is the fact that Mike McDonnell is out of the race by a big margin. John Ewing won, and it's going to be Stothard and Ewing in this race. Have a chance to have a new mayor.
Man, first black mayor, actually.
First black mayor, right?
Man,
interesting stuff in a real way. Also, that other one, a really interesting run over in District 4 because there's 3 people running against the incumbent. Ron Hugg is still leading. Andrew Adams will be second. We weren't able to have interviews with Andrew Adams or Gilbert Ayala yet. Well, we won't now because they're out of the race. But those were a couple of the runners that did not call us back for interviews. Jonathan Flaco Rentiera did, and we spoke to him. But unfortunately, he's 4th in this race right now. So it looks like Ron Hugg and Andrew Adams will be there. We'll speak to Kimra Snipes, who knows a little bit more about the candidates in the area over there, District 4, South Omaha, and can tell us a little bit more about both of these candidates. We will be interviewing the candidates for the general election as well. So we will still have an opportunity to speak to Ron Hugg and Andrew Adams, hopefully, and find out what's going on there as far as that race is concerned. But other than that, I think that this was a very interesting thing. Again, those are the latest numbers. So Douglas County Election Office will give us the final numbers on that, but it's already looking like it's looking. Kimmer says Ben Gray wasn't a surprise if you talk to the neighborhood association leaders in North Omaha. Yep, neighborhood associations did a big job here of also helping out as far as that's concerned. So interesting stuff. I appreciate everybody that that participated here. Again, we need better turnouts. Hopefully, and we know the generals was going to be a better turnout than the primaries, but we still need way more people in the generals to turn out in a big way. So yeah, but exciting, exciting times, and I hope we continue that conversation. I think our next season is going to be follow the money.
Man,
so we're going to be talking about that, man. Economic development, how we can really make some things turn around here in a big way. Kind of excited about some of the future prospects here about that. But yeah, very interesting race. We'll see how the generals turn out. This is the season 2B Ballot of the Bullet. It's happening right now. We got a chance to have a new mayor, which to me is the big story. One of the big stories. We got a chance to have a new mayor, first black mayor, John Ewing Jr., who you all know who I owe some money to right now for my registration.
All right.
Wait, you think I'm playing? This is
all right. You
right here, right now.
You about to dox yourself.
Yeah. I'm making myself go. That's why I'm
okay.
Making sure that
All right.
I got to go. Now he sees.
Yeah.
8:01 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we're at the end of the show. We appreciate you guys joining us. Buddy, you got some final words for the people?
Man, yeah. Get active, y'all. Get active. It's definitely an exciting time if you look at it that way. There's always gonna be things to complain about, but there's plenty of opportunity out there. So let's take advantage of it. Let's do it together, more importantly. So on that note, catch the same time, same place, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning. As Paul mentioned, we are still working on candidate interviews. I think we have District 1, I think should be coming up. What does Pete Festerson?
Oh yeah, Pete Festerson.
Yeah, Pete Festerson. And a few other candidates. So I think we still have Michael Pilipatis. I'm not sure. I think he's making it through. There's a few more candidates that we're working on as far as videos. Look out for that as well, and just look out for whatever else we got coming up, man. There's a lot of conversations we're having in the community, some announcements that we'll be making up very, very soon, some updates. Yeah, man, some updates on some stories. A lot of things going down, and we're blessed to be able to talk about it with you right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning, man. So in the meantime, between time, y'all take care of yourselves. Paul B.
Yo.
Take it away, man.
I want to make a clarification here. I misspoke on what Kimmer was saying. She says that's not what I was saying. I was saying that when you talk to them, many of them were supporting Ben Gray when you talk to the neighborhood association. So I appreciate that. Appreciate all your work that you're doing in a big way. Heather Williams says I owe him too. We're gonna be down there in line,
man.
Getting that registration. Appreciate it. Pop says thanks for another awesome show. See you Friday. Yeah, we got big announcements coming on Friday about some things that are happening at the Union for Contemporary Art. There's some announcements that's going to be made, some changes that's been happening, and we'll be talking about it and setting up for another visit from Lakeisha Green, not Friday, but in the week after. But the big announcements are coming on Friday, so stay tuned for that. And I think we're going to have another special guest on Friday as well. So stay tuned for that. Mama God says, love you, fam. Love you, Mama God. Appreciate you.
My dudes.
Stacey McLean Honeycutt says the Essential Shop has 18 different merchants in one shop. Speaking of the Black Dollar.
Man, support.
4924 Ames Avenue. Any more still popping over there? Did they sell out yet?
Man.
Give me some of that still popping popcorn for real.
Yeah, popping.
Man. Still popping. All right, y'all. You guys have a good one. Take care of yourselves. It's supposed to be a rainy day today, so rainy and a little bit cool. So that's your forecast for the day. You guys have a great one. We'll see you Friday. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
By the way, Van Glorious. the red, the black, and the green. At the crossroad, with the key.
By any means